Hello and welcome. You've tuned into Buy Now, Sell Now right here on ET Now. This is the show, of course, where we address all of your stock-specific queries and take a market opinion along with our guests who have joined in as well. But before we jump into that, let's take a quick stock of where the market is right now. And if you take a look at how the markets have been faring, it was quite a minor losses that we saw early in trade. Nifty traded below that 24,250 mark. But it seemed to have recovered since then, trading at about 24,260 right now. IT, FMCG and consumer durables shares all declined in trade, while metal, private bank and realty shares advanced. We've also, in the broader market, seen the Nifty FMCG seems to have down about 0.8%, but in the broader market, the BSE 150 mid-cap index shed almost 0.1%. BSE 250 small-cap, however, seemed to have performing a little bit better on that front. On that note, let me bring on board our market experts. We've got Kunal Bothra on here with us, and we've also got Sonam Srivastav. Thank you so much for joining us today. Let's take a look at how all of the queries that we have coming in right now. So the first query that we have is coming in from Shankara Narayan, coming in from Kochi, and the stock in focus in this one is HDFC Bank. They're holding about 350 shares and they're looking at it from a long-term perspective. Sonam, can you give us your take on HDFC Bank? What any perspective that you can give over a 1 to 2 year horizon for this investor?
Definitely. See, I think we've seen. I mean, on the banking sector, there's a lot of hope of recovery, but the private sector bank, haven't been able to sustain that level. And especially, I think if you look at HDFC Bank right now, I think analysts are looking at it very positively. Right? I think there are projections that the stock should see strong fundamentals going forward, but the stock definitely sort of lacks momentum right now. But I think this is a classic case where you are seeing strong projection of growth going forward and a low momentum, and it could be a good time to maybe accumulate this stock for longer time.
Okay, so that's a take coming in on HDFC Bank, but we also have a viewer connected on the phone line. This is Mr. Kadir from Trichy. Hi, good morning. How are you doing today? Mr. Kadir, can you hear me? Okay, let's take his question. Aditya Birla Fashion and Retail, and he says that he's bought it at 60 rupees and the quantity is 250. I think it's a short-term trend that he wants a guidance on. Kunal, I'll come to you. Very high buy price.
Yeah, it's a high buy price, but the stock has gone through a recent correction. But I think it's a good time to hold on to the stock. I would probably believe even that 50, 54 as a range, I think is a good range where you can look to even start accumulating further, because it looks like that the stock is coming back into a oversold territory. The divergence from the long-term moving averages, the consistent price correction, the indicators starting to enter into an oversold territory. I think all of that indicates that maybe over the next 5% to 10% correction further, the stock price would come back into a deep oversold territory and then see a reasonable bounce back. I will suggest a hold as of now, and if there is a further correction, my recommendation would be that closer to 50, 52 odd levels is where you can look to even average further.
All right, 50 or 52 is the level where you can average. Mr. Kadir is there on the phone line with us. Sir, can you hear me? Do you want to ask anything else?
No, actually, I just wanted to know if I can hold Aditya Birla Fashion. I think it's better to hold. That's what I get.
Yeah, that's what you've been advised. Well, thank you so much for asking your question. Let's move on. Let's take this WhatsApp question coming in from, okay, so we've taken the HDFC Bank. Yeah, we take Mr. Raman from Chennai, and it's RailTel that he wants to know about. 343 is his buy price, and again, a 6-month time horizon, but he also wants to know if at these current levels he can add more. Kunal, what would you recommend?
See, I'll suggest that hold on to the stock as of now. The only problem with adding RailTel is the time spent. There's a possibility that for the next maybe a couple of months, the stock may remain into an underperforming spree. It may lack momentum. So the only question over there is the time taken for the stock to make a comeback. The volumes in the last 2-3 days have started to show signs of slight improvement, but the prices are not reciprocating in towards a very strong trending upside. So I would believe that it's better to just hold on to the existing quantity as of now. Once the momentum is back again, once you see consistent days of decent price action, strong volumes, good accumulation for the stock price, that's where I would suggest that you can look to even average further so that you can bring your cost price lower and get into break even very quickly.
Okay, so it's a hold call coming in on RailTel from the technical aspects. But the next query is for Kunal specifically. We've got Uday Kumar from Mangalore. He's asking about Manappuram Finance at an entry price of 345 rupees. Kunal, what's your take?
So I'll be very bullish on the stock. I think over the last few months, we've been recommending Manappuram Finance at a point where the stock had underperformed earlier with respect to Muthoot Finance. But then there was a very strong case that Manappuram Finance had gone back into an outperforming spree. The stock has formed a very strong breakout above the 300, 320 barrier. And now I think at 370 plus levels where 360 plus levels where the stock is trading right now, the risk reward seems to be attractive. Gold coming back into the uptrending mode as an asset class. I think all of that is extremely positive. I'll suggest a hold on Manappuram Finance.
Okay, it's a hold on Manappuram Finance. The next question is coming in from Mr. Nikhil Sharma from Mumbai. The stock is Mastek and entry price is 1823 and wants to know the right time to exit the stock and what should he do in terms of the future of this stock. Let's take a fundamental take as well. So, Sonam, would you like to go for this?
Yeah, definitely. I think my call right now for Mastek would be that it could be a good time for him to reduce. I know that the stock has been in a downtrend for a while, but I think our projections at these levels definitely are not extremely positive. See, I think technically we can take Kunal's view, but because the stock is definitely in the oversold territory, but yeah, I think fundamentally I don't have a call to keep on holding this. I would recommend reduce.
Kunal, a quick short-term take.
See, I think short-term wise, the stock looks weak on the charts. It's been making new lows consistently, even on the short-term time frame, and the recent price correction has been severe from 1900 to sub 1700 in a matter of, I think, couple of weeks. So my suggestion will be that you use maybe a couple of days of bounce back if it happens into the stock price, say closer to 1750, 1800 levels as a point where you may look to exit.
Okay, that's the take coming in on Mastek. But on that note, we'll slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be addressing more of your stock-specific queries on the other side.
Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now. We're answering your stock-specific questions, and Sonam and Kunal are there with us live or answering your questions, technical or fundamental queries on anything stock-specific. Just scan the QR code and send across your questions. Let's move on to other WhatsApp question coming in from Naveen. He's from Mysore, and Adani Energy is the question on. Entry price is 1667, and he's not given us the time frame, but he just wants to know if he could hold more. Kunal?
See, I would suggest to hold on to the stock as of now. The stock is still going through a bit of a rough patch in terms of correction. It's come back from 1750 levels in just the last month towards 1550 mark. It's more like a time-wise as well as a mean reversion, which looks like going on to the stock price as of now, because it's almost like been 4 or 5 consecutive weeks that the stock is trading with this negative bias. I'll suggest to hold on to the stock as of now. On the upside, whenever the stock reverses, I would believe 1650, 1700 could be a level which the stock may reach back again. So that could probably be a good point where you may want to revisit whether you want to keep the investment or move on to something else.
Okay, that's the take coming in on Adani Energy. Sonam, would you happen to track the stock as well? What's your outlook on this one?
No, definitely. I think the outlook fundamentally is not bad for this stock. I would also recommend that this stock definitely is a hold from here. And like Kunal said, like we can look for some decline from these levels if you are looking to make an exit, right?
Okay, that's the take coming in on Adani Energy. The next query that we have is coming in from Ron from Mumbai. He is looking for an opinion on Bajaj Finance, Bharat Forge, Biocon, Ultratech. Let's take it one by one, actually. This is for Kunal specifically. Kunal, what's your take on Bajaj Finance?
See, I think all 4 names are, for me, I think are looking very strong. Bajaj Finance specifically, I especially believe that in the last month or so, the stock has established a big breakout. Financial services as an index, many of our systems do track, has come back into a very strong sector which can stand to outperform even the mid-cap 50 go over the next 12 to 18 months. In that aspect, Bajaj Finance has been one of the prominent names, and that's a stock which I believe looks attractive. So the stock at 1,000 levels, approximately 1,100 mark, I think is a good territory where you may look to accumulate. My assumption is that you're looking at this as a long-term play.
Got that. And what about the rest of the names? Bharat Forge, Biocon, Ultratech?
So I think except for Biocon, I believe even Bharat Forge and Ultratech is something which you may want to look at. The concern with Biocon is that the stock has this very odd tendency of giving you those few days of a strong price up move, and then the stock remains more into a listless price action. The best strategy for Biocon is to try and wait for that price correction when the stock comes back to the lower price trend. So far, for example, 400, 390 is a good zone where the stock could probably tap back into a strong support territory. So if you can just maybe wait for another few weeks and let the prices correct to that sub 400 mark, that could be a point where I would recommend Biocon. But the rest of the three names, I think they're good stocks. You may continue to start to invest into the staggered manner into these names as of now.
Kunal is also asking for an exit strategy in all of these counters. I think he's already bought it.
So I think as an exit strategy, Biocon, I'll start off with that. You can maybe look at 455, 460 as a point where you may want to exit. As I said, that the stock has a tendency of retesting the previous swing highs and then retracing from those levels. Bajaj Finance, I would suggest if you're looking at a very short-term play, then keep it at 1150, 1160 as a potential target range. Bharat Forge, on the other hand, the stock in the very recent past has gone through a correction. Wait for a pullback towards maybe 1950 mark, and then on the upside, I would look at 2100, 2150 as a bounce back trade for Bharat Forge.
Okay, let's move on. Let's take this question coming in from Puneet Mahajan from Jammu. The stock is GPT Healthcare, and the entry price is 170.18, and time horizon Sonam is 2 to 3 years. He also wants to know if he can add more. Sonam, if you are positive on the counter.
See, I think I definitely am positive on the healthcare space. But if I look at GPT Healthcare, right now it's a very small sort of a company, right, in the diagnostic and healthcare space. I think right now the fundamental projections for this are not the highest. I think the company definitely is a very high quality company if you look at the fundamental ratios. But I would be rating maybe some other stocks in the healthcare space slightly higher than this particular counter, right? So that would be my call here. I think see, it definitely, the sector is pretty attractive, but I would rate some other counters in the particular sector higher than this one.
Okay, fair, Sonam. Got that point. The next query is coming in from Sushant Gupta. He's asking for a suggestion on companies benefiting from the data centers play at large. Sonam, what's your take on that in India data center plays?
No, definitely. See, I think I have to just give a disclaimer. I've invested a lot in this theme in our BMS strategies and other strategies. And I think, see, we've seen some correction happen last month, but then you've seen a very strong bounce back happen in a number of those stocks. And that includes maybe MTR Tech, which is directly linked to Bloom Energy, one of the biggest data center plays globally. And then you have, stocks in the power sector space, you have stocks in the coolant, cables, etc., and other ancillaries which are coming and playing. I think globally there is some fear on IT and data center stocks, but I think the ancillary companies which are contributing meaningfully to these themes, I expect them to remain strong. So I think that is where my conviction would be. The different ancillaries companies which are playing a role, for example, cable, coolant, transmission, etc., in the data center space. I think that's where I have conviction.
Okay. Let's move on, and this is Sali Devi from Kerala who is asking a question, and the stock is IRCTC. The entry price is 810. Kunal, a short-term take.
See, short-term wise, the stock is still struggling. In fact, in the last, I think, 8-10 days, the stock has shed another 10% odd as a correction from 525, 530 levels towards 480 where the stock is trading right now. So the near-term chart patterns are quite weak. I'll suggest that if you're already holding on to the stock price, wait for a point when the stock reverses this pattern of lower highs and lower lows. The first trigger for that could be once the stock breaks above 525 or 550 barrier as a safe cushion. So wait for a point when the stock crosses above 550 levels, and then I would suggest that could be a very good time for you to go for an average so that you can reduce your cost price and get back into break-even very quickly into the stock.
Okay, that's the view coming in on IRCTC. The next query we have is coming in from Vinay from Gurgaon. He's asking about ITC holding at an entry price of 270, and he's asking for a take on that, and also a separate question on you should buy Reliance Industries. Kunal, what's your take on ITC? Do you think this is a good level?
See, price-wise, I think ITC is at a fantastic level because in terms of the recent price correction, the stock has corrected from 420 the start of this year towards 260, 270 where it's trading right now. Indicators are deeply oversold, and there's likely to be a possibility that the stock over the next 12 to 16 months approximately could see a reasonable bounce. You need to have an extended time frame for ITC. I'm assuming that you already have that. And for the second query which you have for Reliance Industries, I think it's going to be a very good point where you may look to start buying Reliance Industries because the stock has gone through almost like a 4 years or a 5 years of a time-wise correction. It has been stuck at the 1300 levels, for itself over the last many years, or rather pivoted around the 1300 levels. I think the stock has come back to it's in a very attractive price point. My assumption is that if you're a long-term investor, I think both ITC as well as Reliance Industries is what you can hold as well as buy respectively at the current levels.
Right, that's the technical take coming in on both of these counters. But Sonam, can you help us with a fundamental view on Reliance Industry as well?
Definitely. See, I think, firstly, I think even on, like Kunal said, on ITC, we're seeing a long-term sort of a decline. When I talk about Reliance, again, you've seen extended price correction. There hasn't been, very strong sort of projections for this level, for this particular counter. If you look fundamentally, I think the oil and gas sector definitely has been under pressure. And for Reliance, I think we have the big news of the IPO definitely coming in, but across different business segments from retail, uh, telecommunication and oil and gas, I think there is some pressure going on. So my call on Reliance and broadly on the oil and gas sector would be to reduce. So I would not be recommending that we sort of accumulate the stock at these levels.
Okay. Next question is coming in from Mr. Sugumar from Chennai, and the stock is Coal India. He's bought it at 415, and he wants to know if he can average at the current rate or maybe overall switch. Kunal?
Yeah, it's a good point where you can look to average Coal India because it looks like that the stock is on the verge of entering into an oversold territory. I was looking at the indicators for Coal India on the daily charts, and the last time the stock was at 415 levels, it had entered into an RSI which was sub the 30, and recently when the stock has corrected to a sub 400 mark, the RSI is slightly higher. We call this as a classic case of a bullish RSI divergence. So a stronger case that the stock can form a near-term bottom at the current levels, and since your purchase price is not too far off, I think it's going to be a good proposition for you to average the stock further.
Okay, a positive view coming in on Coal India. But with that, we'll slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll address more of your stock-specific queries on the other side. Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now right here on ET Now. And we're still addressing all of your stock-specific queries, so keep sending them in. We've got Kunal and Sonam on board with us. And the next query coming in is from Chetan Sachdeva. He's got two stocks mainly in focus, first being HDFC Life and the second being KEC International. He's looking for an opinion on what to do in both of these counters. Kunal, what's your take on them?
Hold both of them, and if possible, then look to even average HDFC Life at the current levels. It looks like that the stock has entered into a deep oversold territory around this 530, 540 levels. And same is the case with KEC. The stock has corrected very sharply in the last few months from 600 to 420, 430, where the stock is trading. So both these stocks are now looking like they've entered into oversold territories. They may see a reasonable bounce back from current levels, assuming the market also manages to show a lot of solidity. If that happens, I think it could be a good price point for you to look to average both of these names.
Okay, that's the technical take coming in. But Sonam, can you help us with a fundamental view on HDFC Life and KEC International as well?
Definitely, I think for HDFC Life, my outlook definitely is quite strong, and I think the stock has a great quality in terms of if you look at the fundamental ratios, the valuations are also at a very good level, and in terms of projections specifically for this sector, we are getting good numbers in. I think even for this particular stock, the outlook remains quite strong. And I think the stock is quite cheap at this moment. So I would definitely be looking at it positively. If somebody is looking to add for KEC specifically, I won't have a very positive call. I think fundamentally, the stock has been struggling a little bit. You are seeing maybe some of the peers in this space do slightly better than KEC, and we've also taken call in some of the peer companies compared to KEC. So I think that would be my outlook for KEC.
Okay, next question is coming in from Sumantra from Delhi. The stock is IRFC. Entry price is 100 and wants to know why the stock is falling, or should he be considering an exit strategy or maybe hold for another year or so. So let's take a fundamental as well as technical take. Sonam?
I think fundamentally, I think like most of the stock that we're seeing in the PSU space, the stock has been struggling. I think definitely the stock might have strong order books, but even on all metrics that we sort of track, be it quality, be it valuation, be it projection, the stock is not looking very attractive, and even the stock has been losing momentum at the current level. So I would recommend that we stay away a little bit from this one.
Kunal, would you like to give a technical call as well, because he wants to understand an exit strategy, if any?
See, I think it's better to wait for maybe another 12 months or so for the stock price, because 100 is not very far from the current market price for the stock. And in fact, just I think in the month of June, the stock was trading at 101, 102 levels. Currently, it's fallen down to 86, 87 thereabout. So I believe if you can wait for maybe another 12 odd months, there could be a phase where the stock may come back above 100 plus marks. So rather than exiting at the current levels, I'll suggest to wait for the time period which the investor or the viewer was wanting out. But in that phase, if you see a rally back again closer to your cost price or above those levels, that will be a very good point for you to exit and then move on to something more formidable.
Got that. That's the take coming in on IRFC. The next query is coming in from Naveen from Chennai. He's asking about clean science and tech, and also another stock that's Persistent Systems. He wants to get a long-term view on both of these counters. Sonam, can you help us with that?
I think talking about clean science and tech, I think again it's a strong company in the specialty chemical space. I think fundamentally it is a healthy sort of a stock. But I think specifically due to projections in this particular sector linked to the crude price, I think I won't have a very strong sort of a outlook for this one. So I would recommend that we sort of stay away a little bit from this one. What were the other stock that you mentioned?
Persistent Systems.
Persistent. Okay. Persistent, I think definitely I think the mid and small cap IT space is looking stronger than the larger names for sure. We talked about TCS also a while back, but even for I think even for Persistent, you're seeing some recovery from the lower levels, but I am still not extremely bullish on it. I would recommend that we watch it for some time. I think technically we can take a view from Kunal, but I think IT sector as a whole is getting tested on some technical levels, and only after you see a good breach is when I would recommend that we double down on it. Till then, I would sort of recommend that we sort of stay away from these.
That's the take coming in on both of those counters. Kunal, can you help us with what levels as well should the investor look at to add these two names? That's Clean Science Tech and Persistent Systems.
See, Persistent, I would believe that at current levels, you may consider adding the stock, because I don't sense that the stock may provide any major corrective phase going forward because of the way the recent run-up has been for Persistent. It's almost been up 20-25%. Even with so much of negativity still flowing around the IT stocks, it's managed to rise up to that level. More importantly, the stock has managed to climb back above the 200-day moving average, which I think is a big achievement for the stock, specifically in the last 6 months, 12 months or so. I would believe Persistent at current levels could be a good bet. And in case if there is any kind of a dip going forward to the stock, say in the next quarterly results or thereafter, I think that could be an opportunity where you may look to add further. Clean Science, on the other hand, the stock has gone through a very mild kind of a pullback as compared to the major price correction. Price-wise, I would suggest that if you're looking to buy the stock, wait for a breakout about 900, 950 mark. That could be a point where you may consider buying the stock. Till then, I would believe that the stock may continue to just about languish or go into a time-wise consolidation.
Let's move on. Let's take this question coming in on WhatsApp from Bangalore. This is from Mr. Sanjeev Seth. The stock is Abbott India. 24,500 is the entry price, and wants to know if he can add more and for how long can he hold. Kunal, let's take a medium-term outlook, and if at all he wants to add, would you recommend?
I think closer to 24,000-25,000 could be a good point where you may want to add Abbott India. I think the stock price in just the last, I think, 7-8 days has gone through a sharp correction from 28,500, 29,000 levels to 26,000 approximately where the stock is trading right now. So just wait for maybe another 1,000-odd point correction, because in the last 6 months or so, the stock has taken support twice from 25,000 mark. So that could be a very good support point in case if you're looking to buy or add the stock further.
Okay, that's the take coming in on those numbers. The next query coming in is from Mahalakshmi from Hyderabad. The stock in focus is Fiem Industries, that's FIEM, and they're looking for a 2-year time horizon, investment horizon. Sonam, do you track this counter at all? I know it's a smaller company, but do you have any view on this one?
Yeah, definitely. I think Fiem Industry has been, a stock that we have looked at. Specifically, this stock works in the automobile component space. The stock has gone through a sharp correction, I think, after the results recently. And after the results also, you've seen some decline in terms of, the projections and the rating for this particular counter. So I would not have a very constructive fundamental view right now. I think we have to watch out for the next season for this stock. If you are going to take a stronger fundamental view, but I think in the short term, given that the correction that it has seen, we could see some bounce back from these levels, right?
Okay. Yashoda wants to know about Happiest Minds, and the entry price is 385. Wants to know if she should be adding more and for how long she should wait. Kunal?
Well, I think it's a good point where you may consider averaging out or buying the stock further. I think it looks like that on the charts, on the volume front, as well as on the indicators on the monthly time frame, the stock seems to have shown signs of a major buying support or potentially even a bottom out formation on the longer term basis. Look at it from this way, that 2022 or 21, the stock was almost at 1,500 levels, and the recent price correction brought the stock towards 330, 340 mark. So after a significant 1,000-odd point correction for the stock, I would sense that this could be a good price point where you may consider buying the stock or maybe averaging out. If you're holding on to the stock at the current levels, continue to do that. At lower price levels where the stock is trading, for example, 400, 380, could be a good point where you may look to average out further.
Okay. With that, it's a wrap as far as the queries are concerned. Thank you so much, Kunal and Sonam, for taking your time out for our viewers today. But let's just take a quick market check also. We can see a steady trade, but definitely the small caps are outperforming. A lot of stock-specific action also that we can see. But let's look at the Nifty 50 gainers and losers that we can see right now. Okay, so in the green we can see Power Grid so far almost 2.5% up. Kotak Bank, BEL, NTPC also doing well. But then a stock-specific news coming in. A leadership transition at Colgate India is underway as MD CEO Prabha Narasimhan will step down in September after being elevated to a regional role at Colgate Palmolive Asia Pacific division. The board has appointed former Colgate executive Manish Andani as the new MD CEO for a 5-year term. Snehi joins in with more details. Snehi?
Well, yes, and adding to the list of all the leadership changes that we've seen at FMCG staple companies, now you've got Colgate, wherein Ms. Prabha Narasimhan is resigning from the post of MD and CEO with effect from close of business hours of September 27 this year. This resignation is coming in place because she's being promoted to the Executive Vice President Marketing Asia Pacific Division of Colgate Palmolive, that's the global parent. Prabha has been at the helm of Colgate since 1st of September 2022, where she replaced Mr. Ram Raghavan, who was also elevated to a bigger role within the global parent. Now let's talk about who's coming in, and this is not a new appointment, this is a homecoming for Mr. Manish Anandani. The board has approved his appointment as MD and CEO for 5 years with effect from September 28. He originally joined Colgate all the way back in 2005 as regional manager and left in 2018. So he already has a 13-year stint and that experience under his belt when it comes to Colgate. He has been, his approval shall be subject to approvals of shareholders and other necessary approvals, so that appointment is subject to that. But let's talk about a little bit about Colgate under Ms. Prabha Narasimhan. If you take a look at the stock price on 1st September 2022, the day she took over as MD and CEO, 1,678 rupees was where the stock is at. Currently at 1,910, a stock return of almost 14% and a CAGR return of 3.3% over the last 4 years. Just taking a look at what the financial performance has looked like over the last 3 to 4 years that Ms. Narasimhan has been in charge, the revenue has grown by 15.5%, EBITDA up 21%, net profit has also expanded by close to 27%. But if you take a look at the margins, they continue to be stable around 30 to 31%. So that's the kind of financial contribution coming in from Ms. Narasimhan for the House of Colgate over the last 3 to 4 years. Just talking about her other contributions in terms of new themes, new launches under her leadership, premiumization from O2 to whitening pen to visible white purple. That's a big theme that has played out at Colgate and has worked well for the company. Science-led renovation for Strong Teeth, Active Salt, Total and Max Fresh were reformulated and relaunched under her tenure. New consumption occasions like Kids Squeezy, mouthwash, sachet sticks and whitening products were also launched. And Palmolive's D2C push very recently, a couple of days ago, at their Investor Day, we've heard that they've partnered with Bombay Shaving Company to manage Palmolive's D2C and e-commerce business. So while that's everything that Ms. Narasimhan has contributed to at Colgate, just talking a little bit about the incoming CEO, Mr. Manish Anandani, and his street cred. He brings 30 years of experience across sales, marketing and senior leadership. He joins this company from Kenvue, which was erstwhile Johnson & Johnson Consumer Health, wherein he was managing director for India and South Asia. And like he said, originally in Colgate in 2005, left in 2018 and now coming back, holds a degree in electronics and an MBA in marketing from Tuck School of Business, USA. So that's everything that we know so far about the leadership change happening at Colgate, and Ms. Prabha Narasimhan is going to be resigning as MD and CEO with effect 27 September of this year.
Okay, on that note, it's a wrap on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. Thanks for watching, but do stay tuned to ET Now. We've got Markets at Noon coming up next.